And welcome to Fox News Sunday Panel Plus with Britt Hume, Nina Easton, Bill Kristol, and Juan Williams. So let's talk about the discussion I had with Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who's one of the really bright rising stars in the Republican Party. He's in charge of recruiting candidates for the 2010 midterms for the House, also writing this year's version of the Contract with America. Britt, your sense of what Republicans need to do between now and November to maximize their chance of taking back the House?
Well, I was struck by Kevin McCarthy's presentation and by Kevin McCarthy himself in the sense that the Republicans need to present themselves as a new group, that this is not the same old gang that people found they didn't like in 2006 and rather unceremoniously removed from power in Congress. Kevin McCarthy is the kind of person who I sense presents that image. He seems young, he seems informed, he seems decent, he seems honorable, he seems like someone new. You see that also in Paul Ryan, the highly articulate congressman from Wisconsin who has a plan to deal with all these health care and the whole range of budget issues. It's a plan with some strong medicine in it that in previous elections might prove poisonous, but the public may be ready for something more now. In fact, having a strong, tough plan may be an asset instead of a liability this time around. But I think that's the choice Republicans are going to have to make. Are they going to do something serious about this debt crisis and the future unfunded liabilities that are coming at us like a freight train? They're going to hit us awfully hard. So that's where I think the Republicans need to go and be. They need to be serious.
Before we bring the other guys in, I mean, at this year, when things are going so well for the Republicans, you really want to propose a controversial, maybe responsible, but a controversial plan that's going to get people talking about you instead of about Barack Obama?
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to escape the controversy, and that people are looking at the issues that face this country and where the priorities lie. And you look at the budget deficits, the debt, and the spending, and they're very high on the priority list. And if you don't have a plan for that, what's the reason to vote for you?
Nina?
Well, I think the more immediate issue, I agree that they do have to address that on some level, despite the political dangers. But I think the more immediate issue is the whole question of the free market and what happened to the free market and its collapse. And this argument will play out in the whole question about regulating Wall Street. And right now, I think the Republicans are in kind of a dangerous position right now. I mean, yes, Democrats just went forward with this financial regulation plan. Bob Corker was out there trying to negotiate, trying to make it a bipartisan plan. They just slammed this thing through. But the effect of it, I think, politically, is to put the Republicans in a bit of a dangerous position in that they look like they're defending Wall Street. And that's not where they want to be. Americans believe in a free market, but they believe in fairness. And they believe that all of this bailout stuff was fundamentally unfair. Yes, the banks paid back, most of the banks paid back with interest, but they fundamentally believe that all of this was unfair. And this is a sentiment that you find within the Tea Party movement as well. You can't forget that. It's not just about health care, it's also about the bailouts. So I do think it's something, as I write in my column in Fortune, sorry to just let my column here, but I do think that
plugging is always accepted here.
But I do think that it is something that the party does have to think through and address. It's not hitting them right in the face right now, but I think it will, and I think Democrats will make sure it hits them in the face.
I mean, I think one danger Republicans have is a certain amount of not quite complacency, but they have a lead right now. They've had an awfully good year politically, and who expected it a year ago when everyone was writing obituaries for the Republican Party? It would take them 10 or 20 years to recover from the meltdown of the Bush years, et cetera. And here they are ahead in the generic ballot in most polls, which has been a consistent predictor of a turn in Congress. I mean, if the election were held today, I do believe Republicans would win the House, just on the numbers.
Let me just interject to say that apparently, since Gallup has done these midterm polls, the only years in which Republicans have led in the generic ballot were 1950, 1994, and 2002. So it's very rare that the GOP should lead, and all of those turned out to be very good years for the Republicans in the House.
Right. Gallup polls, I think, all registered voters, and there are various technical reasons why Republicans tend to outperform what the number is. And if they get more votes than the Democrats nationally, they're going to probably win back the House. I think there'll be a tendency among Republicans, and Britt was sort of alluding to this in a way, to be a little bit, to play it safe, to try to sit on the lead. I don't think that would be wise. I think they need to stay on the offensive on their issues against the president and against the Democratic leadership. And I wouldn't have said this 2 or 3 months ago, but I do think they need to be bold in articulating what they would do, because I think the country's in an unusual mood right now, and simply sort of saying, we're better than Obama, you need us there to check the president and to keep them under control. I think people want a little more than that from the opposition party now.
I think the Republicans are in are well positioned, but again, too much time remaining on the clock for them to start celebrations. I am struck by what Britt Hume said. I agree. It's time for responsible behavior. If Republicans stood up and said, we have to do something about the growth of entitlements in this country, and it's not just a Democratic problem, I think a lot of people would be struck and say, wait a second, the claim that they're obstructionists doesn't hold. In fact, these are people who are trying to do something to better our country. And in that sense, I think people would view them more positively, because if you look at their numbers right now, Republican approval ratings in Congress are lower than Democrats in Congress. That could come back to bite the Republicans, and I think taking some positive, constructive action would remedy it for them.
Thank you, panel, and please check in with us at FoxNewsSunday.com throughout the week. Tell us what you think about what the Republicans and conversely the Democrats need to do before the 2010 midterms. We'll see you next Sunday.